Senator Kelly, I appreciate you talking about this issue. We typically see those on the state level in these battles. You've introduced the Keep Public Funds in Public Schools Act to repeal the federal tax credits for private schooling. But why have you chosen to take on this battle at this time?
Well, Joe, I'm a product of public schools myself. I grew up in New Jersey. My brother and I, we both went to public elementary school, middle school, high school. I even went to the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy, which is a public school. But in most of the country, we valued public education. So every child had the opportunity to succeed. And what's changed over decades now, especially here in like Arizona, are these systems that are designed to fund public money into private education. But what does that do to the kids that are left behind? And in Arizona, what it means is often their school closes, or programs are eliminated, or the amount that the teachers are paid goes down and class size goes up. That's what we've seen here. I do not want to see that happen across the country. First of all, we want to fix it here, and we need to.
And just to understand a little better too, where this passion of yours is coming from, was there a moment or an experience or maybe a teacher in that K-12 experience you had? Pleasantdale Elementary?
Pleasantdale Elementary.
Now named
Lincoln,
Kelly. Now named Kelly Elementary.
It's a great honor.
I had a lot of great teachers. A couple stand out. Patty DiMidio was a math teacher I had in high school. I think that was the first time I started to realize that I'm actually good at math. So yeah, I mean, teachers can make a difference, but you got to be able to pay them. Yeah. And when we start sucking all the funding, whether it's state or federal, out of the public school system, you wind up with bigger classes and you can't attract teachers.
We just reported this morning that the newest numbers show 49th in per pupil spending, last in student to teacher ratio. I saw it with my boys too. Fewer teachers that were career teachers, turnover was much higher. This has become a systemic thing. And a lot of parents say, well, look, I just need to do what's best for my child in the moment. Can you empathize with parents?
100%. I get it. But this was a plan by certain folks who were elected to office to take these funds and essentially transfer it to the wealthiest Americans. And it's not just in education. I mean, we've seen this over decades. I mean, today, think about this, the wealthiest 1% of our country owns as much wealth as the middle class. It wasn't always like that. In the when we were growing up, the chance that a kid was going to do better than their parents was something like 80%. Now it's below 50%. There's been this systemic, there's been this long-term plan to transfer money from hardworking, often middle-class Americans to the wealthiest of us, and I think that this is part of it.
There's a superintendent of the fastest growing district here. He essentially says there's this culture war, and it's hurting public schools incredibly.
There are folks in high positions in government that started calling public schools government schools because people often think of the government negatively. So let's just start referring to these as government schools, and then that'll help us in time be able to extract the funding that pays for public schools and put it into private education.
He says he doesn't know how to stop this, right?
Well, I tell you how you stop it. You got to elect the right people to office. You got to elect people that value public education, that the kid that isn't upper middle class or wealthy, that we all as a nation benefit if that kid gets a good education.
Since universal vouchers were launched in 2023 here, we've reported on the misspending and the jewelry and the gift cards and the
Air Jordans,
the vacations, on and on and on. But it's not just the misspending we're seeing. We're seeing this just lack of interest by leadership here, the Republican leadership at the legislature, to provide any kind of extra accountability.
Yeah, they don't want to know.
I mean, we're talking about also still no fingerprint requirement for vendors and people who get the CSA money to be with the kids, right? Anything else on a federal level you or others
Well, what I'm
do?
trying to do here is this federal program where an individual can take a $1,700 tax credit and then $1,700 comes out of the Treasury. So think about that for a second. That's costing $3,400. That program could cost, the estimate is up to $51 billion a year. At a minimum, it's going to add tens of billions of dollars to the federal debt. So this is, again, another plan to take what we normally think of as money that should benefit the public and benefit all children or benefit all of us and funnel it into a private education program through vouchers. So what I'm trying to do is end that.
We have seen in Arizona families benefit greatly whose children have certain disabilities or needs, right? Could there be room
in public schools?
So
public schools have to provide
they do
special
and
education.
they've never been fully funded the way the law requires.
The private schools don't have to fund that. And often we've seen parents taking vouchers, putting their kid in private school, and not having those services that the public school provides.
Could there be room for some voucher or tax credit for parents with kids with special needs?
Hey, I am open to looking into any program that values public education, but at the same time, if we have special needs kids and there could be special programs that support them, of course.
Yeah. Next step in this legislation.
Well, I mean, the Republicans at this point in the Senate are certainly not on board. I mean, we're gonna work on them and try to explain to them, and I have talked to some of them about how this program is going to negatively affect their states, and there is some quiet, I would say, interest. We're gonna continue to work on it because I feel my role is to fight for every kid in our country to get a decent public education.